And I don't know why I'm telling y'all this today, but maybe some of y'all need to hear this tonight, because maybe some of y'all have gone through the same thing. But the third time I went to this church, walked in, like I always did the last 3 or 4 times I went. Everything was good. Never went up to the altar though. I never asked God to forgive me or for backsliding on God. But then as I continued going, the preacher got up one night, never opened up his Bible, never preached a single word, never uttered nothing about God, never said nothing about salvation, never said nothing about deliverance. He was up behind the pulpit. His whole sermon, if you want to call it that, was arguing with somebody else in the congregation. Halfway through the message, the congregation member realized what was going on, and he stood up, and for over an hour they argued back and forth with each other. It was all about going to other churches and not supporting theirs. And I got pretty angry, and I looked at her after church was over, and I said, well, I may go back, but I thank God my mother wasn't there that night, because I would never got her back in church. But I said, at this present point in time, I will not go back to that church. And I don't even know if I'll ever go back to church or not. But I know it won't be there. Because you can't argue the Bible like that. God's not the author of confusion. And she said, well, he is my pastor. He's been my pastor like you had your pastor. That's been my pastor growing up, so I had to back up my pastor. I said, well, okay, whatever. Whatever happens, happens. But I don't know if I'll ever go back. So I went to home at night, 18 years old, pretty angry. Was angry for the past 2 years, because that's why I ended up quitting church in the first place. And then I went to bed that night, and had a dream, or a vision, if you will, of the Lamb's Book of Life. I stood before judgment. He looked over the book. My name wasn't there. I began to cry out. I said, God, I know my name has to be there. Please search that book again. He did. It wasn't there. I got down on my knees and I just began to beg and plead. But I said, but God, I've been to church. I've done all this. I was saved at such and such age. I've only been out 2 years. What harm could 2 years do? And God said, you once knew me, but you departed. And I said, but God, my name has to be there. Search it again. Searched it, wasn't there. I just began crying and pleading for a second chance. And I said, God, let me see that book. I know my name has to be there. I looked and it wasn't there. I saw names of people who went on before. I saw names of people who went on afterwards. But my name wasn't there. And I just cried and cried and cried. I don't know how long, but that book just turned around in my head, and I woke up in a cold sweat. And my mom was over me. She saw me, and she said it was like I stopped breathing for a few minutes, and she was worried about me. And she about to take me to the doctor, and she finally could see I was waking up. And the very next night, didn't go back to that church. I've been back to that church twice since then. And it wasn't for no church service, but I was there for like a dinner or something like they had, or they had a couple yard sales, something like that I went to, but I never was back there for church service. But the very next night I went back to my church I grew up at. Went to the altar and prayed through. and never been the same since. It shouldn't have took that though to scare me that much to come to God. I should have wanted to come to God. But you know, sometimes God has to give us a wake-up call. And that was my wake-up call. What is your wake-up call today? You need to wake up and realize that no matter what circumstances we may face, we've got to dare to be like Daniel. And we've got to pray. Not fashion ourselves after the sinful lust or anything else, but we should fashion ourselves after the God that we serve. That living God tonight. The Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and last, He that is and He that was forevermore. Get ready tonight to receive a blessing if you will just obey the Lord.